with Democratic Senator Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire on that very topic. She introduced a new bill that would allow female service members who do not have a say in which state they serve to travel for access to abortion care. I have a hard time not asking, though, why Tommy Tuberville doesn't believe in women's health care and isn't supportive of women. Does he think women are American citizens? I'm completely confused as to why we're even having this conversation, especially for women who serve in the military.
I couldn't agree more. It is an outrage. And the fact is, over 17% of service members are women. 40% of them are stationed in states where they don't have access to comprehensive reproductive care. And for Tommy Tuberville to hold up all of the general officers in the military for the first time ever in the Senate's history is truly an outrage. And we need to see the Republican caucus step in and say this is not acceptable at a time when we're having trouble recruiting for the military, to say that we're going to limit the ability of women to have access to full health care and discourage them from joining our military is just a threat to our national security.
Senator Shaheen, it's Jen Palmieri. It's good to see you. Tell me how this, it seems like this is impacting readiness in two ways. One is the holding up of promotions, but then also there's how it impacts female service members, their family, presumably as well. Can you tell us a little more detail on how both of these problems are affecting the military?
Well, again, what Secretary Austin did in his proposal was to say that women who need comprehensive reproductive care, who need abortion care, are able to go to another state to take the time off, to take their spouse with them if they need that support, and to have their expenses paid for, as Senator Bennett says, just as they would if they had some other health care issue that was not covered in the military care where they're stationed. So this is really codifying Secretary Austin's proposal in a way that allows Congress to weigh in on that. But the fundamental issue here is that what those people who are so extreme would do is say to women in the military who are putting their lives on the line that you can make life and death decisions about protecting this country, but you can't make your own decisions about your own body and your own future with your family. That is just not acceptable, and not something that is going to encourage women to join the military at a time when we are dependent on women to recruitment of women to fill the numbers of people serving in the military.
Absolutely.
So much, Democratic Senator Jeanne Shaheen, greatly appreciated. You know, you take that side of the story, Mike, and also the other side of the story on the Republicans trashing our military leaders. Republicans trashing the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Republicans trashing the Secretary of Defense. Republicans lying about our military being weaker than ever before for their own skewed political purposes, saying that they would rather America's military, the strongest in the world, the strongest it's been relative to the rest of the world since 1945, they would rather them be more like Russians, because Russians are real men. I mean, can you believe the stupidity of this group of people who just keep trashing the United States military and discouraging people from actually getting in the military by their slander?
Well, I don't think it's stupidity, although it is stupid. I think it's more or less this blind adherence and fear of the leading candidate, the leading Republican candidate for the nomination for President of the United States. This time out, his name is Donald J. Trump. And they're afraid of what Trump might say, because Trump is the leader in this. Trump runs this country down almost daily with one comment or another, one text or another. He runs the military down constantly and continually, has been doing it now for months in his campaign to be president again. So I don't think it's stupidity. It's just they're so fearful of what Trump might tweet about them that they go along with this slander. It's political slander.
Fascist.
Yeah, you know, conservatives, Mika, used to have bumper stickers on their cars that said America, love it or leave it. And they said that because people on the far left were trashing the United States military, like people on the far right are now doing. Because people on the far left in the 1960s would trash the intel community, much in the same way that people on the far right today, 50 years later, are trashing law enforcement officials, left and right, not showing proper respect for cops, being on the side of rioters who beat the hell out of police officers on January 6th. They seem, if you take them by their words, if you take them by their leader's words, Donald Trump talking about terminating the Constitution and saying that the United States is the greatest threat to Western civilization, that's just gross. That's just perverse. That's twisting reality and twisting history. Those are the words that come out of the mouths of our enemies, whether it's in Russia, whether it's in China, whether it's in Iran, whether it's in other places across the globe. We shouldn't be having it coming out of the leader of the Republican Party's mouth. We deserve better.
Absolutely.
And I will say there are a lot of Republicans out there who deserve better.
Yeah, they do.